Hello, tile friends, and welcome back to another episode of Tile Money. This is the podcast where we discuss the business of being a tile contractor. My name is Luke Miller. I am your host. I'm a licensed tile contractor myself. Tile Money is made possible by the National Tile Contractors Association. If you're not familiar with the NTCA, check them out. Follow the link in my show notes. They've been the voice of the tile contractor since the late 40s. So a strong history in supporting tile contractors. This episode is a full hour of Ron Nash and I discussing negotiations, specifically the dark arts negotiations. You've already heard this chopped up into little bits and pieces in different episodes, and you've been asking me to release the whole thing. So here it is, friends. This is where you're going to find the whole hour-long episode, and I will have minute markers in the show notes so that you can find your favorite tip or one that you need a reminder of. I want to let you know, again, what Ron and Littering are doing here in a few weeks. I'm recording this early September, and by September 26, 2019, we're going to be in Minneapolis, Minnesota with about 40 people, and we're going to be having a special day, a full day of negotiation training. And so this is going to be huge for any tile contractor who negotiates for work. And if you're in business for yourself, you all are negotiating at one point or another. So thank you to Littering for sponsoring this. It's going to be epic. I'm really looking forward to this, and it's going to just lay the groundwork for more of these to come. So the reason I'm telling you this is because I want you to reach out to myself and Ron and tell us that you think you would go to an event like this if it was in a city near you. All right, friends, enjoy this hour-long episode of the Dark Arts Negotiation Counter Tactics.
Our defense against the dark arts. And this is some black hat tactics and some white hat tactics. So
All right.
the way I look at it is you're really not in business until you've had somebody try to get over on you or use a tactic on you just to get you to lower your price or mess with you. And I think it's fun to think of it as a game. And first, I got to go back to one of our previous podcasts where we just said, the mental flexibility that you're going to need in business is really important. So I would strongly encourage people to not become emotional just right out of the gate. Just understand that sometimes a laugh or sometimes a smile can break the ice and take the emotion out of a situation. My goal is not to teach you the dark arts, but to teach you the defense of the dark arts. Right. Okay, so it's a big thing. I'm not trying to teach you guys how to get over on people that right out of the gate. But I do want you to recognize when someone is using a tactic on you and maybe give you some ideas on how to counter. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you saying that. It makes sense to me. Yeah.
Cool. Unless you're buying a car from a used car lot, then the gloves are off. Go to town. That's a great place to practice. Okay. Ready? Here we go. All right. So some of the feedback that I received, I made a post and I said, hey, what do you guys want to see more of? Is there anything I can do to make it better? And one of the things that was posted was how to handle claims. That's a different thing. I think we should do a whole separate episode on that, which I would want to do. Right. But in this particular case, another bit of feedback was, hey, I deal with general contractors. And, how do I deal with general contractors? Okay, so I'm going to use a lot of these examples specifically as if I was the old general contractor that worked for Layton Construction 16 years ago. Okay.
All right.
And I know a lot of people don't work with general contractors. They may be more work with homeowners or maybe a retailer or whatever. That's okay. You'll see how this works. Okay. So tactic number one that a lot of people use is give me your best and final offer. It's a time crunch tactic. And earlier we talked about the importance of time and giving yourself space and time to deal. And that I also mentioned, I think I did. I mentioned that if you are in a time crunch, oftentimes you will make a mistake. So giving yourself room and time to negotiate is a very big thing. Well, this tactic, this black hat tactic, is used a lot of times to get people to make a split decision or a really fast decision, knowing that the math usually plays out that the person that uses this tactic does better. Okay, so you'll hear it sound like this. A buyer will say, you know what, I haven't got time to negotiate. I want you to give me just your best and final offer. All right. And I'm sure that you've heard that before. A lot of times general contractors will act like they're harried. They're just so busy. Hey, look, I don't deal with the tile contractor. It's not that big of a deal. Just give me your last and final offer.
Yeah.
Now, I will tell you in the Northeast, it sounds like this. Give me your last and final offer. Yeah, I don't care. I don't got time. I don't got time for this. All right. Well, that's fine. Whenever that happens, I want you to, first of all, understand that there will be more negotiations that follow. This is generally, I wouldn't call it a lie, but a lot of times it's a total lie.
I would think that if they say, give me your best and final offer, you're very close. If not, you already have the job. You already met their number. They're just trying to squeeze. Is that true?
A lot of times this is an add-on tactic. Okay. You're through the first round or second round of cuts, and maybe it's you and another contractor, and they're just trying to wring out that last little bit from you. Sometimes that happens as well. So first of all, I always say as a counter tactic, never make the mistake of revealing your true bottom line, even under pressure. Look, there are some things in business that are meant to be private, and in polite business, a profit line, or how much do you make, or how much profit, what's your gross profit percentage on this job. These are all things that it's completely wholly appropriate to have. Making profit is nothing anyone should be offended about or actually ashamed of. Yeah. But the bigger part is don't let this tactic make you reveal your true bottom line. Understand that there will always be more negotiations to follow. So a lot of times what I like to do here is give yourself a little more room to negotiate and make sure that your scope is correct. Okay. So I say, okay, I'll make that person give you a little bit of time by saying, okay, I want to go through my scope real quick just to make sure I have everything covered. I understand that you're really busy. Here's what I have planned in my thing. Okay, great. Okay, this is my true bottom line. Good luck with that. And listen, I always leave the door open. I literally will say this sometimes. Hey, I get that you're busy. I always leave the door open. I want this job. Expressing desire is very important. We want to win this job. We want to work for you. That is very powerful because the desire, in some cases, makes guys soften. And this is a very hard tactic, especially when it comes right in your face. I don't care. Whatever. Give me your best and final. Yeah. Okay. Well, when that happens, understand that there's more that's going to be coming.
Okay.
So you can use some of the other techniques that we're going to talk about in a couple seconds as counter tactics as well. So in this particular case, a lot of times what I'll do is I will reverse, I'll flinch. I always flinch. Yeah. I'm like, oh man, or ooh, okay, I'm trying to give you my best price. Just to give yourself a room to breathe is really important. So I'll talk about that in the future here too. Okay. So the second one is something called straw issues. A buyer, this is also called filling the pot. So a buyer might say, I like to use the truck analogy on this. Oh, hey, obviously this car comes with the clear bra package and the lighting package and the, UV coating and all this. And you just keep adding things that the seller will have to consider as the deal goes on, even though they may or may not be on the sticker. Okay. These are called straw issues. The buyer doesn't necessarily care about them, but if they can add a little value to the deal, it's great. I have a friend who bought a diesel truck, big old dually diesel truck. And when we were talking about what he should go into before he bought the truck, he was like, what should I go into? What should I try to ask for? Well, I look at these dealers as like everything I can get and have them throw in, I'm going to do. I try to find out what's easy for them to give me and what's hard for them to give me. So for example, leather treatments, all those leather upgrade protection warranty packages, all that stuff. A lot of that stuff is completely funny money to the to the dealer. So why not get them to throw it in for free? Fill the pot a little bit. How that works in tile is a lot of guys will say, "Oh, well, prep's included in this, right? Oh, and sealer's included on this already, right? You already got that." And in fact, it may not have been added, and it may not have been part of the scope. So it's important that when this happens, sellers often can give a little to break the seal, so to speak, to get the job done. So, for example, if it was an easy job and you could throw in the sealer to help close the job, that might be an easy, simple concession to get the ball rolling. And I absolutely am for concessions to keep the ball and the conversation, more importantly, going. So I would definitely look at those things. But it's important that as you're speaking, that you're getting closer to the agreement. And in that, I would be using language that sounded like, "Okay, great. If I throw in the sealer, are we done here?" Or you see what I'm saying? So I'm definitely not interested. By the way, that's an F-35. Sorry.
Wow.
They fly over me.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, we can fill the pot with things that are already going to be in the pot, almost, so to speak. Like, for instance, general contractor, sir, we sweep up every day, we grind the floors. Just kind of walk them through your process if we're going to install.
Now, if I'm going to proactively, if I'm going to proactively fill the pot, I'm going to do it with things exactly like you said. I'm going to get in there and I'm going to say, hey, just so you know, we already include daily cleanup. We already include trash removal. We already, you could do that to help kind of do that proactively. But as a tactic, when people are trying to throw things on at the last minute, I oftentimes will then use a tactic of, once again, I go through the scope, right? So I just back up a little bit. Okay, wait. So I just want you to know that sealer's not included on this job. I want to go through your scope to make sure that it wasn't a mistake on my end.
Okay.
I always do it in a face-saving way for the buyer.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you know what? Crap. I did not include that. That might have been my mistake. Let's go through our documents here to make sure.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
That makes sense. Yeah.
But never in an aggressive manner, always in a humble, face-saving manner for the customer. Understand, helping the customer save face is a key to it's like the lubrication of the deal. You want to make sure that everybody stays happy. Okay?
Yeah.
Anything that brings the agreement closer to close. So those are straw issues and filling the pot. I use my friend Diesel Dooley truck as an example. I mentioned earlier. He got upgraded wheels. He got the clear bra on the front. He got this sick lighting package that was part of it and all this. So it was just because he researched the truck he wanted. He put work into the thing, and he had all this list of things that he wanted to ask for. And here's the key about negotiation. If you don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so buyers will use that on you as well. If they don't ask for free sealer, they won't get it. So don't be offended when they do. Okay?
Okay. That makes sense.
Number 3 today, the bogey approach. Okay? This is a great win-win tactic. And the bogey sounds like this. Hey, look, this is all I've got to spend. Look, I got to get my backsplash done. All I have to spend is $2,000. But I want this fancy glass, hand cut, handmade, all my children's initials perfectly over every single outlet. And I want it to be a custom tile that we got from, handmade by monks in Israel, or something like that. It's always something crazy like that. But they often will say, this is all I've got to spend.
Right.
Okay. So first of all, be very skeptical of that. Because all I've got to spend usually it's usually what they want to spend, but there's a very different when the deal winds up going down, understanding what people actually want versus what they want to spend. That's the art of deal making, right?
Yeah.
So you understand what they want, you understand what they want to spend, and then the magic that you do in deal creation is getting those two to merge together, if you understand what I mean by that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So the bogey, this is all I've got. I've only got $2,000 to spend. Okay, so usually sellers here break down and then they start working backwards on their number. Have you ever had that happen to you?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's so common. This is
Yeah.
actually one of the most common things that I see that general contractors pull. Look, I have this in the estimate. This is how we won the job. I have to be able to get this done for X. And oftentimes that X is significantly lower than what the job actually needs. All right.
Hmm.
So this is very common. So my tactics that I use for that is, once again, I always flinch. Like, are you for reals? This is all
Yeah.
you got?
Yeah.
Do you realize? And then I immediately would hit the scope again. All right, you realize that you've got handmade glass tile. You've got, this stuff costs X a square foot. That's just cost. I don't know what to do about that. That's
Yeah.
that's just right there. You're close to your budget. Then I've got to be able to install it with something that I want to take a warranty on, because the system, yada yada yada. You see what I'm saying? So you immediately go into the scope, and you make them realize that, hey, maybe they got a champagne desires on a beer budget, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm going to help you though. This is where you become the guide. So on the bogey, as soon as someone says, this is all I've got, I want you to consider yourself as the guide. I will now guide you on how to spend your money very, very effectively to help you get close to what you want and what you can afford. If
Hmm.
you put yourself in that situation, then you will be able to create a budget that's realistic for what they have to spend. If it truly is, insurance settlements happen like this all the time. Look, the insurance company only gave me $1,500 to do a $2,000 job. All right,
Okay.
well, great. I understand that. Here's what you can get for 1,500.
Yeah.
By the way, here's what you can get for 2,000. And just to put this out here, so to give you something to consider, here's what you can get for 2,500.
Yeah.
Now, I will tell you that you can't get everybody to go up to the 2,500 package,
Yeah.
but I will tell you that 25% of them will,
Hmm.
and that's better than zero,
Yeah, for sure.
right? And so in this particular case, I like to create budgets that fit inside of what they said, but I also would like to give them aspirational considerations so that they can do the very powerful buy what they want versus only buying what they can afford or what they purely need.
Yeah.
Understanding that there is significant differences between wants, what they can afford, and needs. And if nobody bought what they wanted, then Louis Vuitton would be out of business, Lamborghini would be out of business,
Yeah.
Mercedes would be out of business. So understand that you have to be able to provide those packages. Cool.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. It makes a lot of sense. And how many of us friends have went to buy a vehicle and had a budget in mind even, but we
Yep.
walked out with leather seats and that wasn't in our budget. We walked out with, $500, 1,000, 5,000 more than we actually wanted to spend or intended to spend. But because we have wants, we ended up purchasing more. So
By the way, in the car situation, the dealerships always do it like this. Yeah, but look, that's only $10 more a month will get you
yeah,
leather.
that's
Well, how would a tile contractor do that? Listen, that's only 5 cents a square foot more to do X, or that's
yeah,
only 10 cents a square foot more to get an upgraded warranty. You see
yeah,
what I'm saying? It's the
yeah,
same tactic, exactly the same tactic, but it's a great way to test the bogey. You test the bogey, and then it's also a great way to give them aspirational things. So it's a good thing. You're the
mhm,
guide, though. You are the guide to help them get what they want.
yeah,
Cool. All
very
right.
cool.
So this is the next tip here is a cautionary tip, and I'm going to give you a claim as an example. Okay. I'm trying to hit everybody's buttons on this one. All right. This one's called "Ask How Much It Will Be, or You Will Get Taken."
Okay.
Okay. Here's what I mean. Once the work is done, you've trapped yourself into something called a fait accompli. Basically, you've already spent the money. Change orders. Huge tactic for general contractors is to get a contractor to do a change order without documentation.
Okay.
Okay. So, for example, homeowners do this all the time, especially on super high end projects. finding out who the decision maker is key and critical. When you're doing a high-end remodel, if the homeowner's wife can come in and change where outlets go and change the specification on the tile and change the pattern of the tile, if she's authorized to do that, great. Get her to put things in writing. Because otherwise, what will happen is you won't know how much you have out. They won't know how much the extras cost, and you will basically have trapped yourself into a fait accompli, which is you've already finished the job. They don't know how much it costs. You have no contract.
Yeah.
It's a bad situation. So never do that. Always ask how much. And part of asking how much is also telling how much. Okay, great. I can move those outlets. They'll cost $200 for the move. Is that okay for me to do? Great. Okay, great. I'm going to have, and I strongly suggest you guys work with electronics that you can make change orders on the fly.
Yeah.
I strongly suggest it.
Right, so, on your phone, email them.
On your phone and email them, whatever. But I strongly suggest that you get things in writing.
Yeah. This is a weak point, I think, for me. It's been a weak point in my business. I know a lot of my friends, it's a weak point. As installers, we're there, we're working. They ask us for something, we're going to keep working. But if it's on our phone, that gives us that advantage to say, okay, you want this? Okay, it's going to be that much. We have to do this, friends. Otherwise, they're not going to expect it. They should. It makes sense. They ask for more work. It makes sense there would be more money. But unless we let them know, okay, it's going to be this, and then open your phone app, make the adjustment, and say email has been sent. Please approve it with a yes or a confirmation. Yeah.
And if you don't have that technology in your business, get it. Yeah. Period.
It's free in most cases.
It's free in most cases, and this is the year 2019, man. Come on, get with it. All right, so make sure that you're not writing open checks. And I have one story as a sales rep, a mistake that I made. In my company, first of all, I will tell you that my company is fantastic. They let people make mistakes. All right. And I have made millions of dollars mistakes for Littering. I'm not going to lie to you. I've made a lot of mistakes. But we have a saying. Dr. Rothberg, the founder of our company, said, keep the receipt. You can make the mistake, but keep the receipt. And I'm going to pass that on to you. What that means is only make a mistake one time. Okay. And in this case, I'm going to explain to you a mistake that I made, and I kept the receipt. All right, so we had a grout issue with a weird stone. And I still to this day don't even know what the stone was. It was some sort of a soapstone or whatever.
Okay.
The guys had the grout everywhere. It was a terrible job. They didn't do a good job on the grout. They had the grout everywhere. It was haze like crazy. And it was a customer that I really liked, and I wanted to help out. And I was trying to be eager to help, and I said, look, I'll tell you what, this is how you remediate the situation. I will participate. I will help you absorb some of the costs for this. Let's just take care of the customer first, get this done, and then get back with me.
Okay. So you wrote an open check there.
Sounds really nice, right?
Yeah.
It's a great sales rep, right? Yeah. Everybody loves me.
Yeah.
$15,000 later.
Yeah.
I get this email. Hey, Ron, here's the invoice for fixing that grout problem you were out on. Can go ahead and send me the check.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a bad deal. It was a bad situation, and then it put me in a really bad spot. I had to try to figure out how to navigate this. It put me in a bad spot. Not really with the company. I mean, I had to tell my boss at the time. I was a sales rep. I had to tell my boss at the time, and I was like, I did say this, all this. So anytime anybody says, yeah, go ahead and take care of the problem and we'll reimburse you.
Yeah.
Understand when the bill comes, you're going to be in an argument.
Okay.
So stop doing that. Don't do that, because ask how much or you'll get taken.
Yeah.
All right. By the way,
I
was able to negotiate with the guy. We got it down to a point where we were able to work it out, and everything was fine. But it taught me a very, very, very valuable lesson that I'm passing on to you for free. So that's my receipt.
No, we appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for sharing.
All right.
Hashtag own it, right?
Hashtag own it. Exactly. That was my deal. And I've made bigger ones than that. That's actually a tiny one.
Right on.
All right. So here's another one. Take it or leave it. You ever had anybody just say, take it or that's the price. Take it or leave it. Take it or leave it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So here's the thing. In America, a take it or leave it tactic is offensive.
Right.
So understand that if you ever use a take it or leave it, you will be damaging your relationship in some way. It makes you look crass. It makes you look like you don't care. It's basically it's a really bad situation.
Yeah.
So what I like to do as a counter tactic is a brutal tactic. It's super risky for long-term relationships. It makes you sound aggressive. Not good for continued deals. But if it happens to you, I definitely use some of the tactics that we talked about before. All right. I use the bogey against the take it or leave it. If someone says, I'm going to use the car lot situation again. Somebody says, hey, I'm going to sell you that Jeep. It is, look, it's $38,000. Take it or leave it.
Yeah.
I will use a bogey against that. I will say, well, all I have is $28,000.
Okay.
And shut up. You'll be surprised how that take it or leave it moves almost immediately.
Yeah.
All right. So I use a tactic against a tactic. If you see what I did there, I used a bogey as a counter. All right. I'll use straw issues, right? I'll fill the pot. Okay, fine. I'll buy you $38,000, but you've upgraded my tires, my rims. You're going to give me this. You're going to give me that. You're going to get so I make the deal so that net, if I do spend that amount of money, I feel like I'm getting more out of it.
Yeah.
So I use that tactic of that I just taught you.
Yeah.
All right. Another one that I use is the flinch. Hey, it's $38,000. Take it or leave it. American dollars.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're talking in rupees. Okay, so I will
Monopoly money.
Yeah, what is this? Monopoly money? Am I going to be able to pay it off with beer? What are you talking about here? I will start out like that just to get people laughing or even smiling to get them to open the actual deal. Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is a true take it or leave it, and if that's the case, then you're going to have to back up and decide whether you want it.
Yeah.
All right. And then this next thing, which I don't think I've talked about yet, but it's in here and I think it's really, really important, is littering the lawn.
Yeah, I was looking at this, wondering what this was.
Okay. Littering the lawn is also an aggressive tactic, and it's a lot of fun to deploy in a friendly situation. Littering the lawn is becoming the bad girlfriend that brings up all the crap that you've ever done in the past.
Okay.
So, for example, if I had a bad relationship or a rocky relationship with a general contractor, and I had a position where I could litter the lawn, I'd go, look, dude. First, I'd flinch. American dollars? Are you kidding me? You want me to take this contract for $5,000 lower than it should be? I mean, give me a break. And then here's how I'm going to litter the lawn. Here, let me break down the last 5 jobs we've had together. First of all, the temporary power wasn't ready until 4 days later on job before. The dumpster situation's a nightmare on a job that's 2 blocks away. You're always late. The lock box is never open. You never pay on time. Blah blah blah. You see how I'm doing?
I love it.
That's called littering the lawn. And what that does to a buyer and to a seller is it gets them in a situation where, it's an aggressive tactic. It's dark art. I'm telling you right now, it's dark art. If you use it as dark art, understand that you could get some negative reaction from it.
Yeah.
All right. But what happens to me when people litter the lawn, I always try to bring the deal back to the individual case. I get it. We've had some rocky stuff happen in the past. I get it. It upsets me too. But let's talk about this deal. You follow me? I always try to bring it back. But so littering the lawn is another tactic.
Yeah, no, I get it. I just want to emphasize, re-emphasize that Ron's not saying we go out and litter the lawn. But if somebody's being aggressive with us, if they're saying, here's, take it or leave it, and you've worked with them on multiple jobs, I mean, it might be that you need to get a little aggressive to defend your price.
100%.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
By the way, you can litter the lawn in a positive way too. And I'm going to show you how to do that.
Okay.
Hey, look, just to make sure that this job went well, I went ahead and upgraded the grout.
Okay.
I went ahead and kept the job site cleaner than you expected. I
Yeah,
went ahead and you see what I'm saying?
I do. Yeah, I like
And so
that.
you can litter the lawn in a positive way, or you
Okay.
can be very aggressive and talk about all the negative crap that happened as well. My
Yeah.
suggestion as a seller is do it in a positive way. As a
Yeah.
buyer, if you're going against a company that it's a transactional deal and it's just about getting a best deal possible, buying a car I like to do because everybody hates buying a car, then litter away, man.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
go as deep as like, I read your Twitter feed and I don't like your stance on gun control. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Do
So
your
there you go.
homework.
Take it or leave it, as an opening demand is pretty tough. The reverse auction. Now, the reverse auction is another really tough, uh, tough thing. It's connected to the bogey. It's like
Mhm.
a cousin to the bogey. All right. And the reverse auction sounds like this. I've already got my bid in for this price. Can you beat it? All right.
Yeah.
This happens all the time when a general contractor is shopping bids. And people
Yeah.
say, oh, no, general contractors don't shop bids. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, that never happens. But if it does happen, I'm going to
Yeah.
tell you how you can handle that. All right. So they'll always say X company is willing to give me this price, and you need to beat it in order to get the job. All right. So your seller's counter tactics looks like this. One, you can change the spec. All right.
Okay.
I could say, okay, well, I happen to know that company. I'm actually kind of littering the lawn a little bit. I happen to know that company. I know that they use, standard base grade products. I could look at the spec, I guess, and deliver the crap that they were going to deliver.
Okay.
Not necessarily in that language, but you know what I'm saying. You could
But
change the
make
spec.
make sure that the contractor knows that you're using upgraded materials, like you said,
Hmm.
and maybe ask, do you know what materials the other guy's using? Is that
Right,
you know?
exactly. So we go back
Okay.
to the scope. You
Okay.
making sure that your scope is covered correctly. You're consulting him on how your value is. You're highlighting in a soft way how your value is being expressed on the job. Okay, so
Okay.
you can change the spec. This is where I use a funny money tactic. If there's something that came easy to you that you could easily pass on to them, that's fine. If you had a credit or something like that, you could pass on. Warranties, charging for warranties. Hey, look, this is a big hot topic, controversial topic.
Yeah.
If I were to open up a tile store in Ogden, Utah, I would charge differences for different warranty packages.
Yeah.
Full stop. I would learn how to install a lifetime warranty system, and that would be my premium system. I would learn how to install a 25-year system. That'd be my mid grade. I would learn how to install a 5 or 10-year system, and that'd be my base grade. And as you went up with my warranty, I would also go up in my price.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's a funny money tactic. It works great. Works really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Consider it. And then changing the shape of the deal. All right. So we haven't really talked about this very much, but if a deal is looked at like a pie, okay,
Yeah.
and a negotiation bid of that pie is, let's say it's 50-50, 50% is profit. And what they want to do is they want to make your profit slice smaller.
Yeah.
Okay. Changing the shape of the deal is, imagine if you can make the pie larger.
Okay.
And sometimes it's called expanding the pie. All right. So how do you do that? Well, okay, I got your backsplash, but you know what? You're not giving me the countertop contract.
Right.
I'll tell you what, I'll help you out with the backsplash. Give me the countertop project, and I could do this. Or I'll tell you what, add sealer to this job. Maybe I'll make a little bit more money on the sealer. You need to do it anyway. And then I can maybe give you X.
Yeah.
So expanding the shape of the deal, changing the shape of the deal is a great way to handle that kind of thing as well. These are just concepts of counter tactics. I would suggest that you try all counter tactics, get good with what you're comfortable with, and then use that as a system for yourself.
Yeah. That's a good point, and I'm glad you brought up the countertop thing. I've been
Yeah.
I've played with this business model before. I don't install countertops. I've tried. It's just I don't have all the tools, but I know countertop guys. I know where they live. I know where their shops are. So I've partnered with them in a sense, and I've gotten to know their pricing, the way they price things, and then I just, like you said, I just add a percentage on for myself. And I know other tile contractors who are doing this successfully, and if it increases your profits by 10% a year, 20%, I mean, it's worth it,
Dude, if it increases your profits by $500 or $500 a year, who cares?
Yeah,
I mean, it's
exactly.
more money than you would have before. By the way, in many cases, for very low risk. You always want to make sure that the money that you make is worth the risk you're taking, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure.
And then in that, another one is you can nibble on these reverse auctions as well. And we talked about the nibble in another thing, but so here's the deal. I've already got a bid at this price. Can you beat it? I can say, okay, it's the whole suit thing. Oh, okay, I'll do that. But which tie are you giving me? I'm going to buy that suit. Oh, that obviously comes with a tie, right? Okay, well, you could do the same thing when someone reverse auctions you. You could go in and say, oh, well, then I obviously get the rest of the subdivision's work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And shut your mouth.
Okay.
Or, and be careful of this. People do an invisible nibble. I don't know that I talked about this before. So, like, they just start paying your invoices late.
Right.
Right. Or they take discounts off your invoice that they didn't earn. Demanding specification changes that they didn't earn. So understand that, when a reverse auction is put out, that you are susceptible to nibbling and reverse nibbling. Make sure that the payment terms are the same. Okay, look, I'll meet that price. That's great, but am I going to get paid on the 30th? This is the specification. You can't change the spec on me and think you're going to, get more. All those kind of things, right?
Yeah.
All right. Tip number 7. Here's a good one. Learn to flinch. Now, I've already talked about this in depth, but to talk deeply about the subject. Flinching is extremely powerful because people don't like to make people uncomfortable. Okay, they don't like it, even though they sound like they do, and some people that do, and not everything's perfect. I mean, some people actually do, but you can diffuse tension with a flinch. All right. And when someone flinches you, it's a great opportunity for you to pull out straw issues, the bogey. You can crunch them back. You can even flinch them back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I love that the example of using straw issues and straw tactics at Starbucks. I have a friend, and I am not joking. This guy makes a lot of money. Okay, there's no need to do what he does, but he just loves doing this. He will go up, he will order from Starbucks, he will order everything that it takes to make a cafe macchiato in components after he's paid. Okay, so check this out. He'll go, give me just a base grande latte, Okay, great. They ring him up. It's like $4, $3. And then as it's being made, he'll reach over the counter. He's a real tall guy. He'll reach over, hey, could you throw a little caramel in that?
Yeah.
Could you throw a little steamed milk in that? Could you throw that? And the lady behind that's making it, she literally doesn't know. She or he they don't know what to do. So they just go, okay, fine, caramel, okay. And then by the end of it, he's got himself a cafe or a cafe macchiato for the price of a steamed latte.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's hilarious. It's certainly inappropriate and it's certainly rude. Okay, but understand that people do that. And so in this particular case, that's an example of using a straw issue. He doesn't, it's not part of the deal, but he just keeps layering on. He keeps adding on and adding on and adding on. Okay. So learn to flinch back. Straw issues are powerful. Those are good.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So I talked about this a little earlier. Understanding your client, the power of information is really important. Understanding that every project has a difference between needs and wants. And everyone who understands what the customer wants and doesn't offer them what they want is making a financial mistake in their business. Here's what I mean by that. A lot of guys will use a tactic as far as saying, that's all I've got, right? or a reverse auction. They'll use a bogey. That's all I've got to spend on this job. And so a tile contractor won't even bother researching the difference between what they need and what they want. And I will tell you that the contractors who research what they want, and even though they've given them a bogey, or even though that they've given them a reverse auction, they don't offer them what they want, they will lose 100% of the time. So understand that people always find money for what they want. I use the girlfriend washing their hair analogy at this point.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, would you like to go out on Friday night? I can't. I got to wash my hair. Or I don't really have time for it. The hot guy comes up that she wants to go out with. Her hair goes dirty, and she finds the time.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. So why? Because it's a difference between what she needs to do and what she wants to do.
Yeah.
And that is a human truth. You don't believe me? Credit card companies and credit card debt is built on the difference between needs and wants.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fact. And I hate it all. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do we find out? What are some ways we could find out what our customer want?
Okay. Great question. So in working with homeowners, okay, the best time to do that, as a matter of fact, generally the best time to find out what people want is before pricing is discussed, is as early and optimistic in the deal as possible. If you'll notice, every single project that you've ever been on, it goes through waves of positivity and negativity, all of them, even though there might be a little waning. Even on the best jobs, there's going to have, in the beginning, everybody's aspirational. Nothing's been created yet. All right. In the beginning is when you talk about what they want.
Okay.
All right. Hey, look, I looked at your specification. Looks like your architect has done a great job on this. It's got some great fancy details. I wanted to talk about what you wanted in these details, just to make sure that when I'm executing them in the field, that we do them to your expectation.
Okay.
Oh, well, I really wanted this, but we couldn't afford it. Boom. You think about that.
Okay.
How could I do this? Is there a way that I could express to them in a very simple way, hey, I could give you what you wanted, even though didn't wind up in your design, for a few shekels more.
Yeah.
You see how this works?
Interesting. Okay.
And that is optimistic in the beginning of a deal is the best place to find out the wants. Even with a general contractor, what do you want? Well, I really want this job done under budget. I really want this done fast. I want this job manpower. I don't want to have to chase this job. I want to be able to do it, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So early in the job is when you find out the wants. And then as you continue to negotiate through a job, which, by the way, people think that once you negotiate once, you're done. You are negotiating until you're done with that job and have received final, including retention, final bill.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're never off the clock.
So just ask them what they want, basically.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. Number 9 here, the planning purpose trip. Okay. So here's what happens. People become too confident, and they wind up, shooting pricing just real fast. Okay. Hey, I want you to go ahead and add sealer to this. Okay. Sealer's going to cost an extra $200. Okay. You shoot pricing too quickly and you don't have an opportunity to find out what they actually want. Okay. So this is why I always tell people, make your first concession reluctantly or slowly. Okay. And if you make your first concession slowly, and I'm not talking so slow that it becomes a social issue, but I'm just saying slow yourself down before you deliver pricing.
Yeah.
And try to make pricing as much of an event as you can push. What I mean by that is there are some guys that get frustrated by that, and understanding the personality profiles of each person you're selling to is very important. Is this guy a driver? Does he like to get the bottom line up front? Does he like to get, things done? Or is he an analytical? Does he like to see the details? Does he want to know that there's this type of waterproofing used? Does he want to know the specification really deeply? There's a whole podcast I could do on analyzing a person's profile and how to structure your deal in order to maximize on that profile. But the long and short of it here is make sure that you're planning your trips and your negotiations with purpose. Okay. So your counter tactic in this particular situation, before shooting pricing too quickly, is just asking a lot of questions. I like to open up questioning like, I'm going to ask some stupid questions, and I don't mean to offend you. I'll say that all the time.
Okay.
Hey, just to make sure that my spec is correct, I just want to walk through it with you. I know it's going to take 10 minutes or so. I apologize for that, but I just want to make sure that I have you covered.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's nice.
It's safe for you as well, because you will find out things. Also, this is where that you ever seen that picture of the dinghy that says original contract and the yacht that says change order?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that a good person at this, they have the yacht.
Yeah, for sure. No, I can see that this is real stuff for sure.
Yeah, it's real stuff. Okay, so let's talk about the salami slice approach.
Okay.
Okay,
now you're making me hungry.
I know, me too. The salami slice approach it's when people try to pick apart the specification and single out a single product from the specification.
Okay.
All right. First of all, Ron Nash rule number 55 on negotiation. Never negotiate on a single point. Understand that your deal is all encompassing. What I mean by that is when a guy is trying to get you to lay out your specification really clear, what they are looking at is trying to create for themselves a Chinese menu whereby they can say, okay, I would like you to reduce your pricing on your thin set. I would like you to reduce your pricing on your backer board. I would like you, and I will give you the pricing on the waterproofing membrane. When in actuality, you need to have all those components in order to get the thing done.
Yeah.
So the salami slice approach is really powerful when you're a buyer, because you can pick apart people's specifications on anything that you buy. Once again, with that car, hey, does that include the leather? Does it include, you throw in the straw issues, you throw in all the other tactics, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the great way to counter this is give something to get something, or what we call tie a string to it. Okay, look, if I get this deal closed, I will give you the sealer included with this. I don't get this price, that I reel that back. They don't get it. All right.
Okay.
So if you tie a string, I'll give you this, but you have to give me this. Warranties, by the way, are great for this. All right. Hey, look, if you leave the specification as is, you get this additional warranty. I change this component of the spec, the warranty goes down to 1 year only, or whatever. You see how this works?
Yep.
So the salami slice approach, very, very powerful. The crunch, we've talked about the crunch before in length. We won't have to get too deep on it, but it's when anybody says you've got to do better than that. You got to do better than that.
Yeah.
Your pricing's got to be better than that. It's extremely effective for a buyer because it works 95% of the time. That's why buyers do it all the time. General contractors do it. Like, they literally answer the phone. You got to do better than that. What's going on today? It's really important to, one, stand your ground.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do nothing until the buyer tells you why. Okay. And then keep selling and value adding and valuing and showing the benefits as you do this. You got to do better than that. Hey, look, man, I'm giving you this a lifetime warranty system. The specification is called for premium products. I'm giving you what you want. Tell me why I need to do better than that. I literally put it on them. Why?
Yeah.
And then be ready for them to switch tactic on you, which may sound like, well, I've got another contract that's $5,000. Can you do it for $5,000? Then you go into that tactic. So as you see, this is like kung fu, right? There's like 5 or 10 different moves that you can do, and they all, with mastery, will help you navigate through the crunch, which is you got to do better than that.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
The next one's called escalation. All right. Escalation it's a tough opening and a mid negotiation tactic. And they use it on Pawn Stars all the time. Okay. And I love Pawn Stars because I like to I like to literally watch them and say, oh, that's a nibble. Oh, that's a crunch. Oh, he's using escalation at this point. It's a good way to do it, because you can see a lot of negotiation happen back and forth, and you can start recognizing tactics. So Pawn Stars will do this. Okay, so he'll say, okay, well, this the original Bud Light beer can from the first Bud Light that's ever been created, brought it into you to buy. The guy looks at it and says, well, let me call an expert. Appeal to a higher authority. Let me call an expert. The expert comes and says, oh, yeah, it's an original Bud Light container. It's really good. And I value this at $1,000. All right. As soon as he leaves, what's the first thing they do on Pawn Stars? They'll say, okay, I'll give you $250. Right?
Yeah.
And the buyer always says, well, he just said it was worth $1,000. Right? And then what does the Pawn Stars do? They always go, well, I've got to relist it. I've got to find a market to it. What do? They kind of litter the lawn a little bit.
Okay.
They go to the specification, what they're going to have to do to sell it. Right. And then on top of it, they'll sometimes do this. They'll go, okay, I'll tell you what, I'll meet you. I'll give you $400. The other guy says $500. And this is where the escalation comes. The guy says, okay, I'll give you $500, and they'll go, I'll tell you what, I'll give you $250. See, it's a reverse escalation, because they feel like they've gotten to a zone of possible agreement, a ZOPA, zone of possible agreement at $400. They reverse escalated by going down even lower to help lower the aspiration level of the buyer.
Wow.
I know that sounded super complicated, but I'm going to give you an easier example. Okay. Look, I've got a contract that is for $4,000, right? All right. You can always say, well, I'll tell you what, I can get it to you by Friday for $5,500. That's a reverse escalation, or that is an escalation. You've said, all right, you think you can get me to do it for my original purchase price. You want me to do it faster. I'm going to escalate that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So basically it's giving a higher price than you've already been quoted. A lot of times that works on the same psychological principle as anchoring. We talked about anchoring and other different things, but you can also go back and say, oh, you know what? As you're trying to negotiate with me, I realized that I forgot X. Your price is actually higher than what I said.
Yeah.
That tactic really pisses people off, but the point is that's called an escalation tactic. You can use it in reverse. You can use it going down below as a buyer, or you could use it in selling by going back up.
Okay.
Actually, I forgot X, so your price is actually higher.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's a good way to get people kind of off the scent. Stop negotiating with me.
Let's agree on something. Yeah, that makes sense.
I
think we're all going to be watching Pawn Stars with a different view now in a notebook.
Absolutely. I suggest you do it. Yeah. They're very, very programmatic in the negotiation. And it's good to kind of break it apart. All right. So number 13, the what if. Okay. What if? All right. So what if is a great probing tactic. Remember when I wanted to help you guys find aspiration levels and I want to find out what people want? Mm-hmm. The what if tactic is super, super good. This is actually a white hat tactic, meaning it's a very positive relationship builder. You can do this. Okay. So what if we included delivery to the job? What if you bought in bulk? What if you hired us on your next job too? It's a good soft exploration tactic. Hey, you said that you wanted glass in your backsplash, and then we had to value engineer it out. What if I were able to find a glass that was closer to your budget? That what if tactic is super powerful. So I have to mention it here.
Yeah.
We talked about changing the shape of the deal already. But I'll mention it again. Change the shape of the deal, which is tactic number 14, which is never negotiate on a single product. Whenever possible, try to blend the margin and get a bigger deal. We talked about the time crunch earlier, and the time crunch is just understanding that sometimes general contractors will put you in a time crunch. I need that bid by 1:00 today or it won't be considered. Mm-hmm. By the way, unless it's a legal consideration, like it's a public opening or something like that, that rarely, if ever, is the truth.
Right.
Generally speaking, it is, it is tactical. I want your number by 1 o'clock tomorrow. I generally look at it as a counter tactic. I will go, okay, look, if I got to give you the price by tomorrow, it's going to be X. And, understanding that I'm going to build in buffer, I'm going to build in more money. And
Yeah.
I kind of foreshadow that for them. Okay, look, if I got to get the number by tomorrow, that's fine. No problem. Here's my number.
Yeah, that's good. I appreciate that. I think what the GCs are trying to do is hope you make a mistake or forget something, lock you into a price, right? Is that
Straight up,
yeah?
always,
And so
always.
yeah. So if you know that and then say, okay, well, I need to I'm going to add a buffer here because you're rushing me.
Yep.
Okay, got it. Nice.
All right. Let's see. I was going to talk about telephone negotiations. This is one of my final things, and then a couple of comments, I guess. Telephone negotiations. We all negotiate on the telephone. It happens all the time. I want you to develop a price whereby you're comfortable negotiating on the phone, and I want you to develop a break point where you say, no, if anything that costs more than this, I will not negotiate on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for that is understand that at a certain level, it's transactional and it really isn't that big of a deal. But at a certain contract level, you need body language. How can you really find out what people want on a job if you can't read their body language? You can't see nonverbal cues. It's so big. It's 70% of human communication. So you're already starting out at a disadvantage. It's easy to miss details. Everybody who negotiates on the phone, they're always doing something else. They're always driving down the road. They're not thinking about the deal as deeply as they could. So
Yeah.
telephone negotiations are very, very, very dangerous. And I just want people to know, okay, I'm comfortable on items that are X price and below. Do it on the phone. Anything above this price, if at all possible, I'm going to do it face to face. And in many cases with customers, I'll say, look, this is kind of a bigger deal. I will buy you a cup of coffee. I would love to get together with you. Just give me 10 minutes just to make sure I do it right.
Yeah.
Okay, put it on you, help them save face. All right, so the counter tactics that I would do here is set another time.
Okay.
Appeal to a higher authority. Look, my mom says I'm not allowed.
Yeah.
Which is another way to flinch, by the way.
Yeah.
But appeal to a higher authority may also be, hey, look, I got a boss. My boss says I got to do this face to face. Or my wife, she gets really mad at me. Whatever. I don't care what it is. Worst case scenario.
Yeah. Even if it's just saying my procedure is.
Yes, my procedure.
My company
that is
procedure.
appealing to a higher authority because they say, oh my gosh, this guy has procedures.
Right.
Just like a printed price list that happens to be behind a barista's head. There's nothing on that sign that says what's going to happen when this guy comes up and adds caramel. What's going to happen when this guy comes up and adds? There's nothing that says that. But did they change their price? Yes, they did. All right. So set another time. Appeal to a higher authority. Go to standard systems. All right. Look, if I'm going to be over the phone, I'm going to use standard pricing. I'm not moving off standard pricing. All right. Set price list. Price lists as themselves. Printed price books are appealing to a higher authority. I have a printed price for that. I'm going to go to that. In closing of these tips, this particular session, I just wanted to say one of the first people that people need to learn is that people don't buy features. They invest in outcomes. And it's very important that when you sell yourself, you're selling outcomes. So for example, if I hire Luke, I'm hiring a guy who can help me get my shower done on time and that it won't leak and it's going to look beautiful.
Yeah.
That's why when I buy Luke. When I buy this product from Luke, I'm buying an outcome. And so make sure that when you're negotiating towards outcomes. Very important.
Yeah.
I always tell people, what do you buy when you buy a DeWalt drill?
Yeah.
You buy perfectly round holes that are easy to place.
Yeah.
All the rest of it's marketing. And so that's the same thing for you. And in your business, I would suggest that you learn how to state things as far as outcome. What do you do for a living? I provide facades that are beautifully tiled, that don't fail. I provide swimming pools that are beautifully tiled, that don't leak. I provide showers that are beautiful, enhance your home, and they don't leak, and they last for a lifetime. That's what I do.
Yeah.
So at Laticrete, we provide materials that should help you build a shower and a swimming pool that will help you build profit and will help you not leak and stick with you with a project forever. We
Yeah.
build partnerships that last a lifetime at Laticrete. That's what we do. That's our stock and trade.
Yeah.
All the rest of the products are kind of the details that make me valuable for you.
Yeah.
So if we have a relationship based on that, then our relationship stops being transactional and it stops and starts being more common goals and win-win. And that, my friend, is what this negotiation situation has always been about. How do we put together relationships that wind up being profitable, positive, and grow?
All right, tile friends, there you have it. All 19 of these counter tactics that we are calling defense of the dark arts. So I've got them listed out in bullet points with a timestamp on them and name them. So if you're looking for these in the future, come back to this episode and you'll be able to find these in the show notes here. Now, you heard Ron say there at the end that people don't buy features, they buy outcomes. I hope you really take this to heart and realize that you are selling an outcome. And I want you all to work on your elevator pitch. This is a 30 to 60 second little saying that you should have pretty much memorized, and it can evolve over time. You can change it and improve on it. But I want you to say it often. You can look in the mirror or tell your spouse or your best friend or your helper. And I want you to come up with this because this will help you define exactly what you do, and it will also cement in your mind what you do. You could say something like, I sell beautiful tile installations that last a lifetime. My customers end up becoming friends, or something of that nature. My name is Luke Miller, tile contractor myself, and I have developed Tile Money with the main purpose of assisting tile contractors make more money, be profitable, and run sustainable businesses that can be passed on from generation to generation. I do this with my podcast, my social media channels, Facebook, and with encouraging words. All right, so you can see I have a little bit of work to do on my elevator pitch there, but I'm always working on it, trying to, and I want you to remind me to work on it. And let me know what your elevator pitch is. It would be really cool if you could shoot me a video or some audio or even just type it out. Let me know. Tag me on Instagram or Facebook. All right, friends, subscribe to this podcast and make sure that you are being notified when new episodes are released. Share this with another tile contractor. It's my hope, my sincere hope, that I'm assisting tile contractors to build their businesses up. Until next time, friends, stay profitable out there.